And now, will everyone please rise for the academic procession? Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing and welcome Cal State LA student Desiree Gonzalez, who will sing the National Anthem, accompanied by the Cal State LA Brass Quintet.
So proudly revealed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night
Please be seated. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Students, honored faculty members, friends, my name is Rami Meisami. I'm the Dean of College of Business and Economics. Welcome to the 2018 commencement ceremony. Over the course of your academic career, our faculty, administrators, and staff have focused their expertise on your success. They have become your mentors, and for some of you, they have become colleagues. At this time, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Chair of the Academic Senate, Veena Prabhu, members of the faculty, emeriti faculty, and staff representing the university's 6 colleges, as well as the John F. Kennedy Memorial Library and the administration for their contribution to our students' success. I'd also like to welcome our special guest, alumnus, and former Los Angeles County Supervisor Mike Antonovich. Is he here? Okay. Will these members of the university community please stand and be recognized? Thank you. You may be seated. Now please join me in welcoming the President of Cal State LA, William A. Covino.
Well, congratulations, class of 2018. How many of you are the first in your families to receive a bachelor's degree? First in your families. Congratulations. All of you have made it. You've worked hard for this accomplishment. You've persevered, you've excelled. Today, we're here to celebrate you and all that you've achieved and all that is yet to come. Your time at Cal State LA has been a pivotal chapter in the story of your life. During your time here, we witnessed world-changing moments together. California became the world's 5th largest economy, expanding opportunities that await you as you graduate. Political challenges on the national scene, political changes on the national scene created new priorities and challenges and activated the voices of students determined to serve the public good, who became an even more impactful force for change. During your time here, advances in technology gave us new power, new potential, new business models. Technology is fueling innovative forms of marketing, new tools for human resource management. And our day-to-day life has become more full of possibilities for personal growth and more full of tools to strengthen business by developing the full potential of our business organizations and the full potential of everyone who contributes to their success. And you, class of 2018, you are the great creators of tomorrow's innovations and successes. During your time here, each of you experienced a personal transformation that is as profound as the events we lived through together. You're not the same person that you were when you first set foot on campus. You came here with a plan to learn more, to focus your major on a career path, perhaps to embark on a new path, and you'll leave Cal State LA with knowledge and experiences that will propel you forward in your careers, in your research, in your other endeavors. I hope that you'll always remember the faculty who taught and mentored you and helped you become the accomplished graduate you are today, and the friends who encouraged you, and the community that embraced you. You shared in important events in the life of the university community. Together, we celebrated Cal State LA's 70th anniversary. We launched new initiatives. We stood in the spotlight when a study in the New York Times ranked Cal State LA #1 in the nation for the upward mobility of our students. Graduates, that means that a prosperous future awaits you. And parents, get ready for this. The day is coming when your graduate will pay the bill when the family goes out to dinner. Huh? How about that? Some of the graduates don't appreciate me saying that. Not yet. Today, you're going to become alumni of Cal State LA. You'll join the ranks of more than 245,000 alumni of Cal State LA and 3 million alumni of the California State University system. Our outstanding alumni include tennis legend Billie Jean King, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Allard, astronaut Samuel T. Durant, the creator of the Bratz dolls, Isaac Larian. Some Bratz dolls owners out there. Dr. Sumanta Pal, the director of the Kidney Cancer Program and Medical Oncology at City of Hope Hospital, and members of the family that owns Porto's Bakery. You don't get a discount at Porto's, though, once you graduate. Now, all of these great people are your fellow alums. The class of 2018 includes 106 veterans who have served our nation with valor and then returned to earn a degree. I would like to ask all of the veterans upstairs and downstairs, all of the parents and nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and friends, and all of the graduates who are veterans to please stand and let us recognize you. Thank you very much. The College of Business and Economics is a nationally renowned college, ranked among the top 10 in the state of California by U.S. News and World Report, with an expert, distinguished faculty that's taught you to bring new perspectives, fresh ideas, and high ambitions to your future endeavors. They've prepared you for 21st century careers in global business and in the local business community. This college is home to the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, which hosts Entrepreneurship Week and the Fast Pitch competition, which helps Cal State LA startups and businesses get off the ground. And it's home to a career placement center that has provided you with rewarding internships and employment with partners that include the Creative Artist Agency, Jet Propulsion Lab, Boeing, Disney, Southern California, Edison, and Pepsi. In this college, students like Tara O'Callahan discover their passion. Tara was a student in the Business Honors Program, a highly selective program jointly offered by the Honors College and the College of Business and Economics. Tara came to Cal State LA to earn a degree that would help her climb the corporate ladder. However, during her time here, Tara's studies in entrepreneurship led to new interests and new ventures. She co-founded a thriving fashion brand and launched a consulting company. As an older student, Tara was initially concerned about fitting in, but she used her experiences to enrich the university community. She served as the president of the campus chapter of the Professionals in Human Resources Association and as an Honors College ambassador and a member of the Business Honors Association. Today, Tara graduates cum laude with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and an option in entrepreneurship. After graduation, she will develop her new businesses. She will pursue a Master of Business Administration of Cal State LA, at Cal State LA. Good choice, by the way. Congratulations, Tara. So, graduates, you, like Tara, like so many others, are headed to communities that you will energize and empower with all that you've learned, with the Cal State LA values that you carry, with your experiences as a part of this rich intellectual community. That's why today's commencement is such a monumental day for communities across Los Angeles and for wherever you call home. When you walk across the stage, you're not just walking for yourself, you're walking for the places you love. And speaking of a place we love, last month we launched the greatest fundraising effort in the university's history. We call it We Are LA, the campaign for Cal State LA. We chose that name because graduates of Cal State LA represent the best of Los Angeles. Because of the dedication and knowledge that you're carrying with you, wherever you're headed, wherever you will live and work, the people in those places can look forward to an even better future because of what you will bring. So you're walking today for the places you love, and you're also walking for the people you love. You didn't accomplish this important goal alone. Those who love you, inspired and motivated you, helped you along when the going got tough. And in that spirit, I'd like all the mothers and fathers of our graduates to stand now and let us congratulate you, mothers and fathers. Now you stay standing, and let's add the grandmothers and grandfathers. You too. Grandmothers and grandfathers, join us. Aunts and uncles. Sisters and brothers. Nieces and nephews. Spouses. Children. And all the friends of the class of 2018. Thank you all so very much for your support, the many ways in which you helped to make this day possible for our graduates. So as you can tell, graduates, in the story of your life, today is indeed an unforgettable chapter. Today you stand on the peak of a great mountain, looking at the world and at your future. Around you, you see other mountains, other mountain peaks, many of them higher than the one you're standing on. They represent other goals and challenges. As you look around at that future, remember this advice. Don't be daunted by the height of your dreams and challenges. During your time here, you have learned to reach the top. Always remember, you are a golden eagle and you will soar. Congratulations, class of 2018.
Thank you, President Covino. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Castillo de la Rocha. Mr. de la Rocha is the Chief Executive Officer and President of Ultimed Health Service Corporation and is a trailblazer in the healthcare industry. Under his visionary leadership, Ultimed has transformed from a storefront clinic in East Los Angeles into one of the largest federally funded healthcare centers in the nation. Mr. de la Rocha built an essential resource for millions of underserved residents in Southern California and created a model of excellence for healthcare centers and communities everywhere. His innovative whole community approach to healthcare has earned him national recognition, and he has received the U.S. Surgeon General's Medallion for Public Health, as well as the Los Angeles Business Journal Lifetime Achievement Award and the Leader in Action Award from the Prime Program at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. In 2017, he was honored with a Medallion of Excellence from the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Mr. de la Rocha holds a Juris Doctor from Bolt Hall School of Law in the University of California, Berkeley, a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and a Certificate in Management from Stanford University. Please join me in welcoming Mr. de la Rocha.
Muy buenas tardes. Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you this evening. As I look into the audience and I see the many faces of young people graduating this evening here, as I look into the audience and the eyes, the faces of the parents, the grandparents, the friends, the villages that are here supporting these young people, I am indeed proud to say that it is indeed an honor to have received this invitation to address this group. I remember as a young Mexican immigrant who arrived in the United States in the 60s, having attended schools here in the East Los Angeles community, graduated from that mighty Roosevelt High School here in the East LA area. I see there's a few alumni. Let's not talk about Garfield here tonight, but it is indeed a pleasure to be here. I graduated from Roosevelt High School, then I had the privilege of attending the University of California at Santa Barbara in 1967. In 1967, there were approximately 15,000 students on the campus at the university, 15,000 students. There were 20 of us. There were Latinos on the entire campus. 20 of us, there were Latinos in the entire campus. You add African Americans and Asians, and perhaps we came up to 60, 70 people. Look at you today. Look at this audience here. Give yourselves a round of applause here. This is extraordinary. This is extraordinary, and I congratulate your faculty. I congratulate the administration and the vision of this institution for what they're doing here and for training you. Because it is you who are the future leaders, as your president has said, the future leaders of America. My son is a product of this college. A number of my organization's employees are graduates or current students of this school. I've had the opportunity to speak to one of your management classes this past fall. What a wonderful time I had with that class. Some of you may be familiar with my organization, Ultimed Health Services Corporation. Either you have seen one of our sites, medical clinics or dental clinics, or perhaps you have been a patient at one of our facilities. After all, if you're indigent, we provide free care. None of you qualify, right? You're certainly going to be paying the bills in the future, though. For those of you that are not familiar with my organization, we are a community health center, nonprofit organization. We're the largest in the state of California and the largest in the United States. And really began with a single clinic in East Los Angeles, a free clinic. There were 3 employees at that time. When I became the president and CEO, I should tell you that nobody else applied for the position. I was the only one, and I've been there for 40 years now. It took us decades to grow into what we are today. I expect that most of you will not go into healthcare or into the nonprofit sector, though I hope many of you do. My career happened somewhat by accident. I studied law, but I ended up in healthcare. After immigrating here from Chihuahua, Mexico, thank you. I knew there were a few here from Chihuahua. And attending Roosevelt, as I mentioned, and then going on to the law school, I stumbled on a chance prospect and joined a handful of people leading that small free clinic in East LA. What began as an opportunity to fulfill a need in a community, eventually became my life's mission. Sometimes there is no planning your career in advance. You'll learn that as part of your process here, because sometimes opportunities present themselves. And I will tell you, as one who grabbed an opportunity and created something from it, when they do come around, I hope you grab that opportunity. Many of you will go on to lead teams and will have the difficult but luxurious role of making creative decisions. Regardless of what you pursue or whether you use the specialty listed on your degree, it is important that you constantly develop your soft skills, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Over the last decade, we have seen a push for STEM education and the inclusion of technology in nearly every industry, from medicine to food to the auto industry and to entertainment. We need to be technically savvy because technology is going to advance with us or with or without us. That advancement is moving very, very rapidly. But you also need, graduates, you also need to embrace the talents, the interests that make you unique, and really develop those areas. The ability to listen respectfully, to think critically, and provide honest or creative solutions. Ability to read people and know when you're overstepping your boundaries. These are far more important to be successful in life and in work. Build those. Those of you in marketing and management, you're going to, at some point in your career, you are going to be the face of your own company or help determine what the faces of your company look and sound like. The day-to-day operations of any business may be and may fall in the hands of a couple people, 100 people, 1,000 people, 3,000 people. But if the public does not find the face of your company reliable, you will not want, and they may not want to support the cause. You would become a critical and important element of that company. Be aware of how you represent your cause. Make sure your cause is your brand. It is you and what you represent that matters. If you are fortunate enough to hire your own team at work, you must recognize that there is a diverse range of people are valuable to you. Look around you. Look how things have changed in American society. I think that Donald Trump will be very proud of this audience and the people who are gathered here today. This is the group that we ought to be proud of and to continue to see through our universities. Building a team means recognizing that a successful business has leaders, has followers, and a bit of cynicism to keep your progress honest. You need people to point out where there is room for improvement, especially if you are passionate about your product. You need problem solvers to respond to criticisms and to help resolve those problems. You need good communicators, people that can speak well and promote the services that you will be offering. In the healthcare sector, and I'll take a minute to speak about something that I devoted 40 years of my life to. In the healthcare sector, we know that technology has made it possible for people to keep track of their own health. We now wear Fitbits to track steps and calories. We have applications to help us narrow our symptoms so that we can decide whether we're sick enough to go and see a doctor. How many of you have referred to an application for that? No, there's a few of you who are raising your hand there. The truth of it is that a few years ago, we would never have thought about using an application or doing anything like that and relying on our own instincts to be able to do that. Part of that is attributed to STEM education. But we don't just need developers to make these options happen. We need the creative teams to dream up ideas. We need the marketing teams to research where the demand for a product will be and shape the campaign that will convince the public that this product fulfills that demand. You are all graduating from a school with a business focus, and I have no doubt that many of you are realists. You already know that you can only be an idealist as far as your resources would allow you. I'll share with you, as our company was developing, we may have had maybe 25, 30 people, but our offices were divided in two sections. As you enter in the front door, on the right-hand side were the executive offices, where my offices were located, and on the left-hand side was finance was at, an accounting department was at, and all the billing was done. The left-hand side was called Reality Land. The right-hand side was called La La Land. And the La La Man himself was me. Mr. CEO was the biggest La La Man of all. Now, you may say, that was 20 years ago when we were talking about La La Land and Reality Land. How is it that in those 20 years we have built $1 billion company? $1 billion company, 3,000 employees, based on social justice, based on looking at ways of improving healthcare services to working class communities of the greater Los Angeles area, built on the concept of eliminating disparities in healthcare. How that was accomplished? By keeping the idealism, by the vision, and believing in that vision, and working for that vision, and struggling for that vision, and knowing that your guts, and in your gut that what you were doing was right. At all times I had finance right behind me and next to me, and I had marketing people, and I had management people, always shaping and help me structure that vision. Just think about it. How many organizations do you know that are committed to social justice, civic engagement, and providing excellent healthcare in communities that are successful today? There are very few of us who are that. But it's all about vision, and it's all about bringing together the elements, and I can see each and every one of you involved in those kind of endeavors. Over the course of the last several years, AltaMed has grown tremendously. There have been opportunities and we continue to grow. I'll give you another example, the Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare. You're all very familiar with Obamacare. It is through Obamacare that we insure another 3 million people in the state of California. At AltaMed, we saw over 100,000 new patients. How did that happen? There was legislation introduced in Washington, D.C. that for the first time would open up the doors for people to receive health care. We knew that the Latino market was the largest market in the United States that was uninsured. The largest market in the United States were Latino markets, and we knew that. And we knew that it was a historical opportunity, one time in our life, that there would be an opportunity to open up the doors and to insure hundreds of thousands of people. We planned, we sat, we strategized, our marketing teams came in, our branding teams came in, our sales teams came in. We opened new facilities, we hired new doctors, we invested hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in preparation. In the long run, it was highly successful. AltaMed became the #1 enroller, numero uno enroller in the state of California, all because of our ability of pulling together talent like you possess now and in the real world will test very soon. In the real world, you will test very, very soon. Risk, gutsy, taking risk and being gutsy about it ultimately leads to success. From a business perspective, you have to know your limits and what you are capable of accomplishment. And this is especially as you go into the new world. As a team leader, as someone who oversees the big picture, you can dream up all the ideas you like, but you must understand what you have at your fingertips, or at least within your reach. Remember the story about La La Land. You can be Mr. Lala, you can be Mr. Realistic. Putting those things together would ultimately lead to success. Graduates, you are one step ahead of many because of the college degree you are leaving with today. But you have other resources available to you, like YouTube, online courses, forums, public libraries, and free and affordable classes. These resources are great equalizers, and they are empowering. That cell phone, that smartphone is as empowering as anything any of us have ever used. Please don't take these things for granted. We all love a good cat video, but we can teach ourselves nearly anything on a moment's notice. This was unheard not long ago, even in your own lifetime. Your formal education teaches you how to manage time, how to research, how to work with a variety of personalities and persons. But you will learn what you need to know as you find it. You just need to expose yourself to enough ideas that you do, and you will eventually find what you need. Read everything, read good literature, read nonfiction, and learn a variety of subjects, languages, and voices. Graduates, felicidades and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you very much, Mr. De La Rocha. Excellent, thoughtful speech. Among the students earning baccalaureate degrees are those who will graduate with academic honors. Dr. Angela Young, Associate Deans in the College of Business, will recognize them now.
Thank you. The university grants the baccalaureate degree with Latin designations summa cum laude, magna cum laude, or cum laude to students who have maintained an outstanding academic record while earning their degree. These students wear gold braids draped on their black gowns to mark their outstanding academic accomplishments. Will the candidates for graduation with honors please rise and be recognized? Thank you. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce the Chief Academic Officer of the University, Dr. Lynn Mahoney, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Dr. Mahoney.
President Covino, I present to you the candidates for degrees in the College of Business and Economics. They have met all of the requirements for their respective degrees and have been recommended by the university faculty who have taught them.
The candidates for baccalaureate degrees will now be presented on stage.
Bachelor of Science, Business Administration Management.
Patricia Ayala.
Beatriz Perez.
Justin Gabriel Salazar.
Omar Cepeda.
Edgar Soria.
David Uriarte.
Kelly Marie Bark.
Donna Nunez.
Jocelyn Tovar.
Ricardo Garcia.
Caro Karapetian.
Noé Quintero.
Esteban Josue Perez.
Christopher Exinterianos.
Ani Ambartsumian.
Mónica Isabel Garcia.
Ruth Vasquez.
Josabet Hernandez.
Adriana Hernandez.
Noemí Barrales.
Nilofar Lily Hushiar.
Xiomara Vivas.
Eric Sigala.
Laura Martinez.
George Kelsey.
Harold Christopher Besnilian.
Valerie Celestine Ma.
Gwen Wen.
Julie Tu Nguyen.
Bush King Nguyen.
Esmeralda Karina Lira.
Nicole M. Robinson.
Kiara Vega.
Jessica Hernandez Damian.
Richard Amador Sanchez.
Katia Muradian.
Mary Felix.
Astrid Rodriguez.
Jennifer Abigail Rivas.
Daniel Alexander Roldan.
Patrick Gerald.
Jessica Linda Flores.
Valentina Luong.
Eliza Jewel Mayagoitia.
Chelsea Dandan.
Lizette Mayela Frausto.
Omar Santean.
Jacob Aron Vigil.
Stephen Barrera.
Pen Heng.
Andrea Garcia.
Jimmy Anthony Lara.
Miriam Ruisi.
Jocelyn Lee.
Leslie Alvarado.
Cindy Jacqueline Contreras.
Leslie Perez.
Ingrid Anielka Ginny.
Adrian Chavez.
Andrea Maria Rosales.
Chelsea Fidelis.
Anna Mu.
Yesenia Aguilar.
Cynthia M. Gonzalez.
Manuel Hidalgo.
Nathan A. Sosa.
Abraham Ramos.
Saleya Candace Johnson.
Mohammed Hassan Warsama.
Alexandria Zuzi Acosta.
Amaryllis Madej Lowe.
Hazel Cartin.
Elia Patricia Guerrero.
Nicole Victoria Chavez.
Ana Karen Regalado.
Susana Zamudio Diaz.
Manat Ordanov.
Gregory Jesus Aponte.
David Alvarez.
Matthew Velez.
Charlene Martinez Diaz.
Rosa Isela Rodriguez.
Teresa Hepler.
Carlos Alejandro Quiñones.
Carol Espinosa.
William Thomas Kleinnow.
Vinitrius Cavinas.
Rosalie Cuison Baker.
Courtney Michelle Wingfield.
Neiman Marcus McCoy Sr.
Jonathan Ulysses Gutierrez.
Jeremy Alonso Hernandez.
Roberto Antonio Jones.
Julie Coulter.
Ritzia Gonzalez.
Cristal Caroline Rodriguez.
Nareen Balishian.
Narda Sofía Parra.
Seneda Rodriguez.
Carolina Montenegro Bayshore.
Sonia Padilla.
Jacob Seth Weisman.
Tara O'Callahan.
Ki Shen.
Marilyn Uy.
Judy Jimenez.
Jasmine Perez.
Jennifer Davalos.
Joanne Mack.
Leila Yvette Torres.
Linda Ha.
Grace Rangel Santiago.
Araceli Sandoval.
Natalie Marlene Camargo Morales.
Evelyn Palacios.
Mary Maldonado Figueroa.
Joanna Diaz.
Denise Viridiana Lopez.
Jimmy Coronel Morales.
Wendy Guadalupe Morales.
Summer Nieto.
Jolene Marjorie Santarelli.
James Victor Rangel Jr.
Tania Lisbeth Iniguez.
Sarah Serrano.
William Solares.
Julio Gonzalez.
Henry Truong.
Celine Reveles.
Karina Acevedo.
Eric Espinosa.
Michael John Campos.
Jesse Alexander Bonilla.
Stephen Dipp.
Brandon Anthony Torres.
Mark Borunda.
Fandy Wang.
Emily Tam.
Chanvo Ku.
Alton Tam.
Samuel Holland.
Mario Roberto Fuentes Jr.
Munaj Mahida.
Candace Edwards.
Alexander Michael Lamp.
Brian L. Liu.
Brandon Wu.
Por Sang Ti.
Oscar Vera.
Adrian Aguilar Ayala.
Trey Kaiser.
Jimmy Aguirre.
Stephanie Cardosa.
Justin Escalante.
Luke Thomas Meehan.
Calvin Chow.
Sherry Fan.
Luz R. Zavala.
Nazareth Erdoglian.
Edwin Roberto Rodriguez.
Michelle Sanchez.
Ana Elizabeth Hernández Bonilla.
Kevin Alejandro Moreno.
Brian Y. Kim.
Joseph Andrew Gamino.
Kevin Agredano.
Olaya Torres Lepe.
Wendy Yasmin Caceres.
Ethan Johnson.
Peter Nico Medina Licardo.
Toya Johnson.
Stephen Trinidad.
Adam Ritema.
David Yael Torres Martinez.
Zachary Britt.
Priscilla Santos.
Michael Brian Vasquez.
Karen Dolores Carranza.
Vivian Kwan.
Bo Simpson Bacharan.
Samain Murillo.
Andrew Munoz.
Talene Tello Amirian.
Christine Danayan.
Narbe Kachikian.
Asber Hamamjian.
Chris Narig Cassian.
Guadalupe Beatriz Medina Rico.
Juan Carlos Sache.
Neftali J. Martinez Niño.
Adan Campos.
Hyung Do.
Brian Martinez.
Chi Dao.
Gerardo Aguila.
Leslie Rubí Menjivar.
Ángela Isabel Enriquez Oliva.
Nancy Catalina Vega.
Lynette Moran.
Ikra Ashfaq.
Diana Molina.
Yara Cristal Deras.
Jessica Miranda.
Ashley Mirna Ayala.
Sandra Olage.
Nayeli Guadalupe Zárate.
Veronica Patricia Menendez.
Lisette Condado.
Victoria Shinlin Lai.
Annie Ying Yang Dai.
Jaritza Martinez.
Elizabeth Marilu Lara.
William Hinckley.
Ratiporn Udomno Witayaku.
Adrina Avanes.
Genaro Ornelas Godoy.
Benito Acuña Jr.
Madison Renteria.
Marco Mesen Garza.
Mayra Alexandra Hernández.
Michelle Hernandez.
Genevieve Arceo.
Mary Shamlian.
Jonathan Luis Cruz.
Elizabeth Erasmo.
Michelle Kwan.
Alex Lamb.
Andrea Ana Vasquez.
Daniel Gonzalez.
Alfredo Carlos Campuzano.
Joseph Siasat.
Priscilla Victoria Santoli.
Yuriko Yumana.
Juanica Lachelle Bradley.
Caddy Taylor.
Jorge Esqueda.
Stephanie Yamilet Villanueva.
Robert Carl Ferris III.
Nestor Omar Recinos.
Melissa Razo.
Diana Alberon.
Celia Abigail Corona.
Williams Zarete.
Genevieve Helen Conway.
Vanessa Amy Cabrera.
Fentoni Carly.
Jocelina Garnica.
Estrellita Román Gómez.
Wendy Natalie Escamilla.
Samantha Araceli Trejo.
Darlene Tejada.
Francis Kim.
Sharena Arishvili.
Mustafa Kamal Alisai.
Denise Marie Lopez.
Michael Farag.
Heidi Brito.
Alina Giovanna Fajardo.
Judy Avila.
Yuri Beth Murillo.
Stephanie Brito Barrientos.
Yao Lu.
Eunice Lois Johnson.
Jasneet Sethi.
Edna Barasa.
Lakaina Tep.
Heidi Elizabeth Paz.
Perla Giovanna Pacheco Guevara.
Sean Figueroa.
Stephanie Gonzalez.
Marisol Hernandez.
David Pagosian.
Miria Villagrana.
Jesus Antonio Torres.
Alec Gilbert Trevino.
Kara Jeanette Martin Sinclair.
Megeti Harapedian.
Randy Ann Marie Hernandez.
Francisco Guzman.
Stephanie E. Barraza.
Noel Armando Arzola.
Alex Puente.
Maria Kudzevich.
Sharif Nasif Solman.
Jasmine Farias.
Héctor Jacob Barrios.
Selena Leanne Nava.
Lisette Esparza.
Jorge Terzian.
Troy Arthur Drogemuller.
Angel D. Torres.
Ivania Munguia Contreras.
Jennifer Guadalupe Godino.
Desiree del Carmen Vera.
Verónica Sandoval Ramírez.
Jacqueline Gómez.
Natalie Bastidas.
Nicole Elizabeth Mora.
Joseph Lionel Ortiz.
David R. Gomez Tagle.
Jonathan Scott Lamb.
Guadalupe Jasmine Paz.
Stephanie Elizabeth Valle.
Lina Michelle Maruri.
Denise Leon.
Golden Diego Beltran Grooms.
Bachelor of Science, Business Administration, Marketing.
Andy Cobos Juarez.
Christopher Tolentino Ramirez.
Jacqueline Christine Carvajal.
Karina Flores.
Valerie Sanchez.
Alicia Garcia.
David Isaías Sandoval.
Guillermo Hernandez.
Tola Chom.
Mario Delgado Medina.
Ashley Yaricet González Mercado.
Uriel Vasquez.
Julian Gustilo Enriquez.
Michael Christopher Avila.
Rafael Eduardo Ríos.
Leobardo Paez.
Teo Cárdenas.
Han Yan.
Mónica Bueno.
Fanny Chuong.
Dagoberto Vergara.
Ryan Goncena.
Ivette Bañuelos.
Angelica Vea Hernandez.
Christian Leonardo Lomelli.
Chantal Reyes.
Brian Eric Richardson Jr.
Debbie Chen.
Wendy Tellez.
Eugenia W. He.
Tiffany Meng Zhang.
Nancy Gomez.
Marlene Guerrero.
Alexandra Nicole Calderon.
Tuchka Kang.
Selena Juarez Raimundo.
Jessica Rose Kroon.
Jessica Alejandra Ardon.
Nancy Hernandez.
Cecilia Velasco.
María Josefina García.
Manuel Dario Mancia.
Marilyn Peña.
Stephanie Aguilera.
Ji Young Lee.
Anaís Dueñas.
Brian Matute.
Joseph Stephen Lara.
Ariadna Belinda Rodríguez Escalante.
Tiana Latrice Isaac.
Michael B. García.
Davis Nishikawa Iwata.
Ryan Lewis Chang.
Lucas Isaac McCallion.
Claudia Rangel.
Adolfo Morales.
Andrew Reed Diaz.
Samuel Moreno.
Kevin Armas Jr.
Willie Alfredo Mayono Jr.
Stephanie Flores.
Natalie Desire.
Peter Yusho Liu.
Nicholas Andrew Torres.
Steven Breceda.
Susie Voskirchian.
Desiree Sabrina Garcia.
Roxana Maria Resendez.
Jerry Jesus Carmona Perez.
Eugene Udarbe Reyes.
Greg Michael Garcia.
Alejandro Zamora Jr.
Jessica Migdalia Esteves.
David Quinn Chang.
Vanessa Alimba.
Daisy Ramirez.
María G. Escamilla Juárez.
Bianca Denise Orellana.
Jonathan Castañeda.
Jonathan Lee Hall.
Jorge Humberto Leplay Jr.
Aldrima Wozni.
Melinda Avelina Tejada.
Vladimir Mendoza.
Justin James Lyons.
Monique Alexandria Lara.
Micah Baba.
Vivian Nguyen.
Saudi Khan.
Anton Molchanov.
Greta Fong.
Caris Fabros.
Angie Gomez.
Alicia Aguilera Sanchez.
Melissa Antoinette Brandenburg.
Karen Camille Castagnon.
Maria Bocanegra.
Darvel Rodriguez.
Stephen Anthony Roncalli.
Evelyn Rumbo.
Mark Anthony de Lara Pacheco.
Hao Tin Lung.
Chen Sin Lin.
Raymond Gutierrez.
Julianne Gutierrez.
Carlos Santiago Casas.
Jorge Luis Ponce.
Heen Lee.
Michael Christopher Rohde.
Merlin Lisette del Rosario.
Cristian Rigo Contreras.
Amy Hung Chang.
Humberto Tardío Jr.
Robert Mitsuyoshi Yamasaki.
Cristian Eduardo Jiménez Bustos.
Marcos Alejandro Moreno.
Gregory Humbert.
Justin Michael Davis.
Nicholas James Osuna.
Diana Andrea Gudino.
Christopher Alexander Sanchez.
Justin Yu.
Lashania Courtney Davis.
Cesar Daniel Cobian Perales.
Luis Humberto Rosas Guzman.
Joanna Jeanette Vasquez.
Saltanat Kazakpayeva.
Anderson Afri.
Jeffrey Hidekichi Kwan.
Marcelo Carmona Cerón.
Amy Toe.
Lionel Tirado.
Linda Jean Michelle Price.
Celeste Ulloa.
Denia Hamuda.
Itzayana Ramirez.
Desiree Corrine Apodaca.
Parkson Hua.
Diana Hai.
Hao Chen Zhao.
Renzo Fabian Pacheco.
Kimberly Mercado.
Stacy Vargas.
Reina Yesenia Garcia.
Cristian Adrián Arono.
Teresa Hernandez.
Louis Willie Walker Jr.
Jesse Omar Polanco.
Kyle Jeng.
Tim Pham.
Prince Arthur Alagao.
Stephen Paul Gabre.
Carlos Andrés Bulnes.
Jie Cheng Lee.
Julie True.
John Wu.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome brothers Marlo and Carlo Lopez to accept the degree awarded posthumously for the Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with an option in Operations and Supply Chain Management for graduating candidate Aquetzali Yael Lopez Cortez.
Well, I really don't know what else to do now. Oh yeah. Will the candidates for baccalaureate degrees please rise? That's everybody. Okay, hold on. We have to do a little bit of official business here, okay? By the authority vested in me by the state of California and by the trustees of the California State University, I hereby confer upon you the baccalaureate degree for which you qualify with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto. Now, you can move your tassel from the right to the left. Congratulations.
Okay, just a couple more minutes. Please allow me to thank all of the university staff, faculty, students, and volunteers who were involved in organizing the 2018 commencement. And we acknowledge the members of Honors Convocation and Commencement Advisory Committee. And finally, at this time, the university hymn will be performed by the Cal State LA student Desiree Gonzalez, who will be accompanied by the Cal State LA Brass Quintet. The lyrics may be found in your programs. Congratulations.
Is for